What is the best category for Amazon sellers is a question often asked by people when they want to start selling on Amazon, and it's not exactly a clear-cut answer, and it's going to take a lot of deliberation with yourself, a lot of research, and you're going to have to sum up a few things to work out what is going to be best for you. Everyone's financial situation, everyone's time situation, and how much they want to pursue their business is completely different. And these are a lot of factors you need to take into account when you're looking at what type of category and what type of items, price range you want to sell. So what are the different categories and what are their differences? Well, really, you're looking at two different types of items. The first type of item you're going to be looking at is expensive, high ROI items. Now, these can be larger items, for example, TVs, monitors, graphics cards, electrical appliances, any electrical appliances, or it can also be garden stuff that's heavy, stuff that's large, but sells for a good amount of money and makes some good profit. Some of these things you might pick up in retail stores, Currys, Argos, stuff like that, or garden centers. And some of this stuff you might get from wholesalers. And when looking at the higher ROI, more expensive items, you got to understand a few different things. These items are going to move slower. You're not going to be able to sell them as fast, which means your money is going to be tied up for longer. They're also going to be a little bit harder to source because there's definitely more cheaper items in the world than there are expensive. So your range of categories or your range of products that you can buy is going to be a lot less. You know, for example, a supermarket is more likely to put something under £10 on offer than they are something over £100. It also is going to require a significant amount more investment. For example, if you buy, 100 products at £1, you've got 100 products and you spend £100. However, you can buy one product for £100 and technically make the same amount of money. But then if you want to sell more items and scale your business faster and have good cash flow, you're not going to be able to buy as many units if you have a limited amount of money to invest with. Also, for the larger items like the garden center stuff, TVs, stuff like that, you also might be looking at a prep center. And if you start doing this from your home or your office or wherever you are, or if you've got a little lockup, you're going to quickly outgrow that with the larger items. We dabbled in selling some streamers that we got from discounting B&Q, and I made a YouTube short about it and a small YouTube video. And these are obviously items where if you pick up 100 of them, they're going to take up a lot of space in your house or your small lockup. So it's definitely something you need to think about. Storage can be a big problem. And obviously, if you've then got to use a prep center, you've got to add that in to your costs. So although you may be making more money on the item, it's going to move slower. You're going to have more costs in prep. And it's just going to be a little bit harder in general. Some of the good points of the more expensive and higher ROI items are it's less work to make the amount of money that you're going to make. So instead of, labeling up 100 units, you're labeling up 1 unit and you could effectively make the same amount of money on the sale. It also means that you need less daily sales to get you over a good amount of profit. I mean, if you've got quite a significant investment, let's say £20,000, you can buy a good amount of stock with that, and you can probably get it into the FBA warehouse fairly fast, and instantly you're going to be making some pretty good money as long as you've done the correct product research and the products are selling at an acceptable pace. Now let's look at the other end of the spectrum there, and we're going to go for cheap items which are a lower ROI. Now, what are the positives of that? They're going to be moving extremely fast. And as long as you've done good product research, everything we talk about is based on good product research. The likelihood is that your units are going to sell as soon as they get into Amazon, and they're going to sell daily if you've got a lot of them. And if you haven't got a lot of them, they're going to sell within a day, which means there's less risk of things going wrong. If you buy 100 units of something that sells particularly well, then at some point, even if the price tanks a little bit, you're going to be able to sell those units off. And that brings me on to my other point. If the price does tank, when you have to make a loss, it's not as a big of a loss as if you had to take a loss on an expensive item. Because of the way the cheaper items work, you know, if you lose a couple of percent here and there, it amounts to pennies. However, if you lose a couple of percent off of £100, it's going to account to £1 or £2, and that could really eat into your margin. When it comes to cheaper items, you also need a lot less investment. Someone can start it as a side hustle, go and buy some cheap items from some retail stores, and you can also buy some stock from wholesalers with a fairly small investment of maybe £1,000. You wouldn't be able to do that with the higher items because you physically wouldn't be able to buy enough stock. So that makes the cheap items a really good option for people that haven't got as much of an investment or just want to try and sell on FBA before they really want to get committed. One of the negatives of cheaper items is that there's going to be more sellers on the listing, and which means you're going to have more competition. And when you have more sellers, you also have a higher chance of the price tanking because people get fed up of holding the stock for a long time and then they drop the price and sell it off as a loss. If you've got 10, 15 sellers on a listing for cheap items compared to 1 or 2 on expensive items, you've got a much higher chance of the price being tanked because there's a lot more people there that could get impatient. Another good point about the low cost items is that you can do all your own prep. You can have a small box turn up to your house. You can label it, prep it, pack it, send it, all from your computer desk, fairly hassle-free. And again, it's a really good option for people that are just looking out to get into it, dabble around and see if it works for them. So my closing points, I would say, everything is relative to you. And if you're not sure if you want to start Amazon FBA, but you want to try it, definitely go with some really, really cheap items that have got really high sales. That way, it's going to be really hard to mess up. You're going to get the hang of things. You're going to understand how to send out a box. You're going to understand how to label up your units, and you're going to understand how the reprices work and how the Amazon dashboard works. It's a really good insight into Amazon in general. In fact, even if you've got a good amount of money to start, I'd recommend doing that anyway before you jump right in, which will help you not make mistakes. And then when you feel comfortable, you can then splash the big investment and then choose your path correctly. If you did enjoy this video, then be sure to give me a subscribe and a like, and be sure to comment on the video for anything else you want to see or any more information that you think will be useful to you. Again, we'll be uploading a little bit more soon, and I hope you enjoy, and I hope you had a good day.